affect a particular region. So over to you, Comrade Jota.
Thank you, Comrade Gary, and a good day, colleagues, comrades of the ANC from the different regions. The ANC Region's Joint Press Conference statement of the 24th of April 2018 reads as thus: we as the ANC regional structures of Mahumapelo province have and will always respect and uphold the heart and constitutional rights of all citizens to protest in a disciplined and peaceful manner. We, however, wish to condemn in the hardest possible terms the current sporadic protests that are characterized by violence, intimidation, looting of shops, and destruction of both private and state properties. No amount of reasoning will justify any act of anarchy, lawlessness, and criminality. We further want to reaffirm and recommit ourselves as regions that will fight against all manifestations of corruption, greed, and state capture as resolved by the 54th National Conference of the ANC at Nazareth. On the Revolutionary Council, it is our submission that the Revolutionary Council is the same group of people that call themselves the Northwest Business Forum until the real Northwest Business Forum stood up to reclaim its name back and deny those who claim to be their members. These are the same people who call themselves the self-liberators and the Pakama Brigade. In essence, it's actually a lobby group that was pro-CR17 or supported our current ANC President, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. It is our view, therefore, that they still exist post-Nazareth and refuse to let go of any lobby or conference-related difference of opinion. Their composition largely explains their reasons of existence. Its membership is mainly composed of former and current MECs, MPs, MPLs, some ANC PEC members, members of the former PTT that led our province between 2009 and early 2011, some REC and RTT members, pockets of the ANC Youth League members, most of them who are over the age of 35 years. Veterans League, SACP COSATU, a certain clique of SANCO members, some current and former HODs, municipal managers, and business people. It's basically a coalition of the wounded who get angry and are prepared to fight if things don't go their way. By its own admission, the Revolutionary Council on various platforms, including national media, confirmed that they are indeed responsible for the violent Mahikem protest, even though they would want to distance themselves from the criminality and violent part thereof. What we know about these comrades is that they are not participating or supporting ANC programs, be it at provincial, regional, or branch level. It is in their narrative that the ANC is in good hands when they are occupying strategic position in its structures and in government. Anything else is unacceptable to them. Their agenda has always been regime change, so as to create a conducive platform for them to rise and ascend into power. On the protests that are happening throughout the province as regions, we do appreciate the fact that community members do have legitimate and genuine concerns and complaints about service delivery in our province and municipalities. We agree that if these challenges are not adequately addressed with the necessary speed and commitment, communities have the right to protest peacefully as a tool to draw the authorities' attention for action. It is, however, our firm belief that the Revolutionary Council has hijacked and is therefore abusing these protests in the interest of their malicious agenda of rendering the province and the municipalities ungovernable. We know for a fact that sporadic protests are part of phase 2 implementation of their program. Their program entails inter alia closing of strategic roads like your N12, your N14, your N8, destabilizing provincial government, departments, and municipalities, painting a picture that the province has collapsed and municipalities are dysfunctional, supporting a view that Premier cannot provide and doesn't possess the necessary leadership to remain Premier and is incapable as ANC provincial chairperson. From this, they want our people to believe that there's an urgent need for intervention by national leadership by removing him and further putting certain departments under administration. We know by now that this is a well-thought program over a period of time, structured into 3 phases. We are making a point that this is a national program that is targeting certain provinces. Targeting certain provinces and senior ANC leaders viewed to be too powerful and pro-radical economic transformation. They are characterized as being problematic and threat to white monopoly capital. On corruption allegations against Comrade Supra, who's the Premier and the Chair of the ANC, as ex-officio members of the PEC, we can bravely confirm that the Premier, as the Chairperson of the Provincial ANC, tabled a report on all corruption cases in the province, including those he is accused of. He further briefed the PEC on progress report on 29 forensic investigation reports. As regions who are happy with the reports and support the Premier's commitment and endeavors to fight great crime and corruption. We are pleased by the fact that these reports make provisions for the law enforcement agencies to be involved in, and they will be submitted to the ANC leadership for further processing, as they were submitted in our recent meeting with the national leadership. It is against this background that we are calling for everyone to allow the law to take its course and give ANC internal processes a space. The Revolutionary Council must be persuaded to be patient with the rule of law and organizational processes and desist from being populist and grandstanders. On the call for the Premier to be recalled or resign, as regions who are not in support of this call, as we believe that the Premier has performed exceptionally well. It is our view that the call by the Revolutionary Council, COSATU, SACP, and opposition parties is malicious and misinformed. We are arguing that the narrative for recalling the Premier must be performance-based and supported by factual evidence that indeed is corrupt. As these things stand, no one has backed their allegations with concrete evidence. It is our considered view that this call, amongst other things, is triggered by the posture taken by the Premier on corruption and his pronouncements made during the State of the Province address, when he requested that all previous and current Premiers, MECs, HODs and municipal managers must avail themselves when so requested by law enforcement agencies. And this was also a call from a resolution from our PEC Lekgotla. We are also saying foreign investigators on all corruption cases dating from 1994 as a commitment and support for the 5th administration's endeavors to fight greed and corruption. Many are unhappy, alleging that the Premier is purging and in a crusade of destroying those differing with him politically. We can't allow and perpetuate a new normal where serious decisions and actions are arrived at on the basis of unsubstantiated, concocted, and malicious allegations. If proven to be true, will be the first to pass a motion of no confidence on him as the provincial chairperson of the ANC. On calls for the disbandment of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC, as regions we don't agree with the submission. Our determination is informed by the PC's performance report and mainly by the key performance indicators used in the organization when evaluating performance of ANC constitutional structures. All submissions made in support of the disbandment of the PC are mischievous, irrational, and based on feelings and emotions. Therefore, the request must fail and be dismissed. We urge those calling for the disbandment of the PC to respect the decisions of the ANC branches who elected the PC and not use the backdoor approach to want to undermine organizational democratic processes. On regional conferences, we are making a call to both national and provincial leadership of the organization not to deny regions their constitutional obligation to go to regional conferences. We are ready to hold conferences. We have been in some cases advised by the national leadership previously not to proceed despite the fact we were ready. Regional conferences have been mainly postponed due to local government elections in 2016 and last December's national conference of 2017. Branches are legitimate constitutional structures of the organization are demanding regional conferences. Any argument casting aspersions that branches are not ready are disingenuous, as 99% of these branches participated at the 54th national conference that was held in Nazareth. We can't allow a situation where regional conferences are held at ransom by loud voices of the minority who don't have any interest of renewing and building the organization. Let us respect and honor the often silent voices of the majority. in line with the National Conference resolution and the supreme law of the ANC, we are calling for the immediate suspension of some members of the Revolutionary Council who publicly, by own admission, confirmed that they are responsible for these sporadic protests in our province. They must further be subjected to the Organizational Disciplinary Tribunal. We are also calling the Minister of Police and the national leadership of the ANC and people of Bukoni-Bophirima province to be considerate of the safety of our premier. For a very long time now, there have been desperate attempts to kill the premier. We as the ANC structure still love Comrade Supra, and the expectations are that nobody has a license to kill, regardless of how much you may differ with one another. We have got confidence that the ANC's national leadership will handle the matter of our province in a fair manner that is consistent with the law and the constitution of the ANC. In conclusion, as the ANC structures in line with the 54th National Conference, our January 8 statement and the NEC that was held in Cape Town, that all members of the ANC must strive for unity and renewal of the organization through our RHR program in the province as resolved by the PC. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions? Clarity seeking? When you speak, you must introduce yourself so that you know who you are. Also, you said our code. Eyewitness News, The New Age, News Note, SABC, News Note.
My name is Pelana Pahari from Eyewitness News. In the invite that you had sent to the media, you had talked about some evidence that you do have that you'd like to share on some of the people, on some operations center, which is aimed at dealing with now Premier Supra Mahumapelo. Please share that with us. I think maybe I missed it somehow, or if you didn't, please share that with us. And as well, you called for the immediate suspension of some of the people who have been outspoken of the matter. Shouldn't they also be given a chance to, say what they feel is right for their side when they have allegations of corruption? Thank you.
Okay,
thank you. El Pastor from the New Age. My question would be, who are these leaders in the Revolutionary Council that want suspended, and from what position? The other one is, what have you done as ANC members opposed to this mayor that we have seen since Wednesday? Because we understand that for evil to triumph, it's when good people stand out, to stand and do nothing. As the ANC, what have we done to stop what we have been seeing since Wednesday? And maybe what is the way forward regarding the protests and threats that we are hearing, that it's not even the end of what we are seeing? Thank you.
Okay. In the statement you mentioned already, there's a national program that is targeting certain provinces to orchestrate all these protests and strikes that are happening in Northwest, for example. Do you perhaps have names of the provinces that have been targeted as well, as you said, the Northwest is also targeted? And number two, what is the ANC saying about all the blood that was shed during these protests? Because lives were lost during these protests. What is the ANC saying about that? And how will you ensure that more lives are not lost from now until whenever?
Silvani.
All right. Afternoon, Silvana Kakao, SABC. I'm not going to repeat the other questions that have already been asked by my colleagues. My question is about the ANC's alliances, SACP and COSATU. We know they've also been calling for the Premier to step down. You've just said that that, you know, they've got malicious intentions, if I understood correctly. Why would they have malicious intentions when they're working together with the ANC? Also, on the statement, you spoke about the evidence. I'm not sure, like my colleague, if I missed something they would like to get. Are you in position to share that evidence with us? And then what is the ANC's plans to ensure that these protests end? Lastly, you're saying this is phase 2 of that plan to cause destabilization and everything. What was phase 1 and what's going to be phase 3, since you do have all that evidence for this? Thank you.
Okay, yes, I would just like to find out, perhaps could you further highlight the reasons for the postponement of the regional conferences in some areas, and maybe if they could be a result of the violence that has transpired over the past few days. And also, in terms of the alliance, are there any maybe plans by the ANC in the province to maybe hold talks or maybe try to salvage the relations that have been tainted?
Okay. Who's taking it?
All right, let's. No, thanks. Let me. All of us will be dealing with the responses, and you are at liberty also to raise where you thought that we did not clarify you. Let me first start by the last one with regard to the regional conferences postponement. In our statement, we also indicated that conferences or regions were ready to host their regional conferences since 2016. And where we then received a communique from the national office that indicated that conferences must be postponed due to local government at that time. And later in 2017, again, still regions were still ready. A communique came and said that we can't continue but focus on preparations for the national conference. Hence now that regions were saying, were insisting that we are ready now, because all the issues that were raised and were identified, the issues that were hindering that we should proceed are now over. That, hence we said now we are ready. With regard to the alliance stance around the issue on the recall of the Premier, we can confirm here that the issue with regard to the alliance, in our last meeting, it was very difficult for them to forward reasons why would they want the Premier to be recalled. We're only surprised that it's only now over the media that they are raising issues as to actually why are they saying the Premier must be recalled. But in a formal meeting, it was very difficult for them to raise issues actually. Hence they said to us they will only forward those reasons in writing. Now we are shocked that over the media they're raising issues to say that these are the reasons. But for now where we sit, we did not receive anything from them that says the Premier must go. I would then allow colleagues to respond to some of the issues that I...
Okay, no, thanks a lot. My name is Tsepo Justice Maolomo, the regional chairperson of Ngaka Mulema. Yes, on the issue of holding talks and mend relations, that on the African National Congress, it's a continuous process. As ex-officials, members in the PC, we have adopted the program of actions where alliance meetings are going to be convened as the African National Congress as a convener. So we are, as African National Congress, make sure that we mend relations, we engage, and also when we in Cook's League, the provincial chairperson of ANC in our province, Comrade Supra Mahumapelo, when he was addressing the meeting at Cook's League, he assured and confirmed that he is going to make sure that the PC is going to engage. And also the secretariat from national SGO offices through Secretary General, they've confirmed that they will do oversight over the engagement with the alliances, just to close where there are weaknesses and strengthen our alliance partners. So that issue is going to continue that way. We are saying it's unfortunate. It's really heartbreaking that there are bloodshed, But we are saying, as the African National Congress, we are calling for our communities that the province, as the African National Congress, the president was here, they're handling this issue. Let there be calm in our province. Then also as the ANC, we have been doing our work. We have been addressing communities, especially in most of the villages and so on, and in some other areas. Even yesterday evening, I was at one of the places. I passed by the Hatswana to check the situation there. I met with some community leaders just to try and demobilize so that we save lives of our communities. And also, I think we have noticed the Premier was also in Colini yesterday. He addressed some of the issues after campaigns. He met some community leaders there to try and calm the situation. So definitely sure we are going to push that there must be engagement, there must be calm, but generally we are calling for all those whose properties has been damaged, cars and everything, to open cases with the police so that law enforcement agencies must be able to do some follow-ups. And where there are weaknesses, we are calling on our communities to come forth and give evidence on those issues. I thank you.
No, thanks very much. I think it will be very much proper to contextualize some of the questions that you have just posed, especially with relation to South African Communist Party, COSATU, with malicious intentions, and some of the things that have been happening around our province. We know that we are in a revolution, and when we are in a revolution, we know what will happen in a revolution. Allow me to quote Chair Mao Zedong when explaining a revolution. He said a revolution is an insurrection. It is an act of violence by one class to try to overthrow one another. And these particular classes that we are talking about, they share common objectives in how they want to get where they want to get. In sharing that particular common objectives, it means that within this particular province, there are forces that want to overthrow the current leadership in order for them to access to that particular position of power. Secondly to that, there is what we call an ultra-democracy. I am responding to the question that immediate suspension, should they not be given an opportunity to say their side. They have been given opportunity to state their side. All of these particular people, majority are members of the African National Congress. All of us, we are bound by the African National Conference Constitution in terms of acts of misconduct. Hence, I'm talking about ultra-democracy and a lot of ill discipline amongst these particular comrades. And let me say this. There are after effects of ultra-democracy if we are going to allow it to take place in this particular province. It will destroy this particular organization. It will wreck the organization. It will defocus us as members of the African National Congress and regional leadership, including the provincial leadership, to focus on our main objectives. Currently, we are supposed to deal with elections for 2019. Now there are detractors within the process that are trying to defocus us, detracting us from the main objective and the intention of the African National Congress within this particular province, and it should not be allowed in that particular regard. With regard to the ANC plans to ensure that destabilization ends, yes, I think there are various messages that have been done through our leadership to ensure that we destabilize, we make sure that these things of strikes, they end. We are trying our level best. And we know that there is a conglomeration of disgruntled comrades who are not happy within the organization, who have just decided to come together and fight the current leadership. Hence, we are saying that we need to take drastic actions and implement the 54th National Conference in order to deal with some of these particular issues. With regard to this particular issue of national program, names of provinces targeted, we are not kids. We can see even through the media that this particular province is targeted. Free State has been targeted. KZN has been targeted. These are some of the provinces that we feel very strongly that they are being targeted. Hence, we are even struggling to hold our own conferences, even if we have been ready even before Nazareth. Dr. RSM, for instance, we are having 70%. We are prepared to go to the regional conference at any given period. There are reasons that are being forwarded by the very same people who are saying that they are conglomeration. They are not even immune out of this particular situation. Hence, we are saying that branches are ready. They are awaiting to have regional executive committees out of these particular conferences. We cannot be held at ransom, and we are even prepared to go to court as regions if we will not be allowed to go to regional conferences, because we have been ready even before the national conference that was held around Nazareth.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Zanela Kampafodi, the acting chef, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, region. It's important that we must deal with the notion that the ANC is corruption friendly. Rather than also, we must also make a point that says we are not here to come and close people's mouths for reporting corruption, greed, and crime. What we are saying that in the ANC, as members of the ANC, there are necessary platforms where leaders and members of the ANC are raising these things. We are also calling, in terms of our statement, those who got evidence, they must quickly go and assist the law enforcement agencies to ensure that these things are not put under the carpet. That is our call. We are not silencing anybody. The statement went further to indicate that every action that the ANC must take against those members of the ANC must be informed by the supreme law of the organization. Hence, we are saying disciplinary tribunals where people are accorded an opportunity to put their side of the story. But we are not going to allow members of the ANC to run amok, mobilizing society to revolt against the organization. Now, I think they've dealt with issues of the provinces, issues of the alliance. We need to amplify that any allegation not supported by any factual evidence or any portfolio of evidence is malicious by its intention. You can't put it differently, because any allegation must be supported. Now we are saying for COSATU and SACP, they must give proof and allow the law to take its course. Now why do you want to run the province ungovernable? We are saying this program is in phases. We knew that Comrade Zuma must go. That is the regime change. It started there, this phase. It's continued. That's why we are making an analysis as regions that this lobby group has not dismantled. Because the second phase that we are in is to run the province ungovernable, those targeted provinces, so that there must be regime change, people must be removed. Hence, the membership of this revolutionary council, our former PTT members, you will remember the members of the media, that immediately after Polokwane, this situation happened. These are things that are repeating themselves. That is why we are saying we are not blind. We know what is happening. Phase 2 is to remove people. Phase 3 is to put new, because we are making that statement to say that they want to ascend to power. Once Supra is gone, the mayors must go, the MMCs must go, the MECs must go, the branches must be disbanded, the provinces must be disbanded. That is regime change. It is phases. Now that is the point that we are making, to say that cannot happen. Let's allow the democratic process of the organization to take its course. Yes, of course, it is quite regrettable. Nobody, no life should be celebrated, the death should be celebrated. We value the lives of our people. That is why we are saying all of us must rally behind the call of the president of the country and the president of the ANC when was he here last week at Cook's Lake, that let us allow the president to intervene and the leadership of the ANC as a matter of urgency intervene on these matters. That is why also we want to make it a point that all these allegations leveled against the Premier have been submitted to the ANC, to the leadership of the ANC. Reports are there. We know what is going. Let us allow these processes to be concluded. And if Supra is found to be wanting, let the law take its course. We are not defending Supra here. I know immediately after this meeting, we'll be called by name to be your stooges and so. Unfortunately, we are quite resolute because we have to defend this revolution and nobody will undermine that. I think I've tried to deal with the op centers. We know that they are operating from op centers. They are not secret. I think there are 2 here at Mafike. We've got another one at Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. The Comrade Tswaile as a PC member. We know that he's a founder of this Revolutionary Council. They've said these things quite a number of occasions. We are giving you the names. That these are former PTT members. These are former MEC, quite disgruntled because they feel that for one reason or the other, they have not been properly removed from their offices. Supra is praising them on the basis of having different views and so on. Now, I think we have tried to deal with this, the question as raised, and thank you very much.
All right. Next round. Going once, twice, sold. Over again.
My name is Obake.
Eyewitness, then SABC Radio.
My name is Obake Maje from News. As the PEC or the leadership in the province, there are rumors that this protest has been funded and there is 2 million on the table to cause disruption simply because they want to remove the premier. But when you look at the alliance, like Nehau, whatever they stated, that there are reasons that the premier must go. Some of you, possibly you know about them, they touched on the HOD of health, Mr. Thabo Kalakala's actions where he paid Gupta company Mediosa. They didn't know. It's some of reasons that they say this happened under the previous watch. But as the ANC Provincial Executive Committee, do you agree that there are some corruption in the province that has been happening? Thank you.
Eyewitness News.
Hadi from Eyewitness News. Just of course, I mean, I hear you, of course. This is what is happening currently in the province, and it is from foreign elements and foreign people who are trying to force a regime change. But are you totally oblivious of the fact that 2 people have lost their lives in the last in the protest? Are you also oblivious of the fact that those were not ANC members but residents who were blocking the roads, who were also seemingly arrested? Some of them were not ANC members. So are you saying that these people were funded? These communities, Dawoom and others, were funded to disrupt what you call an alleged regime change? And I also just want to check with you guys. The operation centers that you say you alleged, you say you have evidence, and that is what was in your press invite here about revealing details about the anti-Supra Mahumapelo political campaign. You touched on it, but you haven't shared with us, like you said you would be sharing with us here. Just go into detail, like you said you'll go into detail. Thanks.
Itumele Kajane, SABC News. Mr. Rothman, you said that the regions are ready for the conferences, but regions such as Dr. Ruth has been led by the RTT from 2015 already. Now, my question is, if somebody was to say, you are only saying this now because you want to protect Premier Mahumapelo or the PEC from being disbanded because there are no proper structures in place, what would be your response to them in that regard?
Okay. Every person that has been suspected of doing something within the ANC is being investigated and suspended. However, allegations have been brought forward about the Premier. So, is the Premier investigated as well? And if those allegations hold, if they are found to be true, is the Premier going to be suspended as well? Because right now, personally, I'm led to believe that everyone else is treated this way, but the Premier is treated some other way, probably because he's the chairperson or something like that. But we haven't heard anything about the Premier being investigated, since there are so many fraud and corruption allegations brought forward by people that are accusing him of those things. So is the Premier being investigated?
Look, thanks, Michoko. From the last report that we received from the Premier, he went, remember there was media reports that there were cases opened against him in the Mabato police station. He went there was nothing on him. But in terms of the processes of the law in South Africa is that you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. So it can't be correct that we justify allegations without investigating them, without them being confirmed by law enforcement agencies. That's number one. True. Because on whatever situation you are saying, we are not defending the provincial chairperson as being the Premier. But you are saying all the allegations, can they be tested? Because as you can well be aware, there are forensic investigations in certain departments. The Hawks at some point raided the supply chain offices in the office of the Director General, in the office of the Premier. And we are saying, allow space to the law enforcement agencies to pursue their investigations so that as and when they are concluded, then everybody who's liable for any particular act of misconduct will account for those particular misconduct, including the Premier himself as a provincial chairperson. We are not defending him. In relation to the regional conferences, let me clarify it by saying the ANC, in terms of its constitutionality, branches are the basic unit of the branches of the ANC, of the movement, the Khajan. It's not that when there are no regional structures, therefore there's no ANC. Because regions don't attend conferences, it's branches who attend conferences. Therefore, branches are in good standing. Some of them, like Comrade Lopang has indicated, attended the 54th National Conference and they have been read. But furthermore, to say that the postponement of the conference, if you well remember, was on the judgment in relation to the Bojana Regional Conference. That was taken by the Mafikeng North High Court on the 15th of December last year to set aside constitutionality of 38 branches, which were subsequently rerun by the Provincial Executive Committee and the RTT in Bojanala, and just awaiting final verifications by the Lituli House audit team. They are inclusive of the Dr. Ruth Sikomotse Mumpati Regional Conference. Remember, it was held on the 3rd of February. And some members of the ANC went to the court, and the court resolved by saying the ANC must resolve the matter internally. We have listened to all the disputants, 11 branches, all in all, and they were resolved by the Provincial Working Committee of the ANC in the province, and subsequently we are ready for conference. Just finalization of the audit verification by the Lituli House team. And then I think Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was also concluded, was just ready to, because it was supposed to be held last week Wednesday. But as soon as the Lituli House has concluded its, or the National Working Committee, its visits to regions to meet with structures of the ANC, including branches of the ANC, to deal with organizational challenges and governance challenges, and find amicable solution in all the service delivery protests that has been happening in some part of the province. Then I believe that will go to the conference as a result to say all regional conferences and the provincial conferences must be held before the 31st of May. As the ANC PEC, in relation to the loss of life, we regret the use of violence, and we have conveyed our sincere and heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones, because we believe that members of society has the right to protest, but they must not use unconstitutional means of looting and doing crime in the name of service delivery protest. And therefore, we are saying our sincere condolences to those who lost their life, and we are not happy about that, because in dealing with issues and as a caring organization, we can't afford a situation where we lose life because of things that can be dealt with in a table through discussion. As you well are aware, in relation to the corruption of the Midiosa and the HOD of the Department of Health was subsequently suspended after the plenary report, after the investigation set up by the Premier's office last week was handed out, and the HOD is now on suspension, and disciplinary processes will unfold as indicated by the Office of the Premier, and will await the matter to be concluded and finality. Now, there has been engagement with the task team that has been set up by the Office of the Premier, led by MEC of Education and Sport Development, Date Selolehare. They've met almost twice now. Engagement are continuing, and we believe that soon they will resolve all the matters and they will go back to their workstations so that they must provide services to our people. But over and above that, the provincial government has also engaged the South African National Defence Force and your Department of Health for provisions of health professionals from the SANDF who are already deployed in some clinics in the Mahumapelo Provincial Hospital to provide services to our communities. I thank you.
I missed this one. Do you believe or agree that the protests are being funded? And if there are rumors that there's 2 million put on the table to fund this protest. And also, can you give more clarity on the statement that you released yesterday regarding the head of cattle that were handed over to former President Jacob Zuma? Are you willing to give us the name of the donor?
And also deal with the issue of the RTT in Dr. Yes, the court made that ruling, but on the night, I remember, on the night when the ruling was made, there was a conference held in Bray, and it collapsed. So hence I'm asking as to whether you only saying this now because probably you want to come to the defense of the Premier, because some people are saying that there are no structures of the ANC, therefore it needs to be disbanded in the province.
Yeah, maybe let me deal with a few issues that were raised. We want to emphasize the fact that, yes, it is true that the PEC is not about region, it's about branches of the ANC. Now, the narrative that we are putting that we want to go to regional conferences because there is a call for disbandment is precisely the thinking of the Revolutionary Council. That is why they are preventing us to go to regional conference, because they have that narrative, which is really, really, really misplaced. We are saying branches are ready, they went to Nazareth. Now, why do you then say that they are not structured? The branches are there. They've raised these issues with the leadership. Now, there will be a roadshow starting from tomorrow from the leadership just to do this round to establish whether these branches are there. But we are saying they are there. They went to Nazareth. And also the Premier, nobody is above the law. We are saying, we are making that statement that if Supra really indeed is found to be corrupt, if Supra really is been found to be true on all these allegations, we are saying he must also be subjected to the almighty of the law. And we are saying we'll be the first as the ANC branches and the region to pass a motion of no confidence. So therefore, we can't come here and suggest that we are really in defense of the Premier. Now, corruption, we are saying that is why we are telling you that there have been reports of investigation and forensic investigation. We are also calling our people, if there are any other evidence, they must go to the police and report this misconduct. Yes, there are elements of corruption here and there in the province. That is why the Premier, through its 10 by 10 program, through its scope announcement, it means how serious we are. We are very committed to deal with issues of corruption, greed, and crime. So we can't be second-guessed as saying we are actually friends to corruption. Comrade Gary has dealt with issues of the suspension of the HOD. But it is important that even if we are angry, no matter how wrong is a person, it is important that anybody must be subjected to the laws of the country. The Labor Relations Act. There was a call for the HOD to be suspended because he admitted in the media that yes, this and that and that. That's not how the law works. We are saying he must be called, subjected to necessary processes in terms of the Labor Relations Act. That is why now he's suspended, because those processes has been followed to the letter. So we can't, act on the basis of allegations that are really not founded and so on. Now, yes, I think it is true that we can't celebrate the loss of the lives of our people. Hence, we are calling for proper investigation to be pursued to get to the root cause why those lives were lost and really what happened. Out of that, we'll then be able to say what went wrong. But at this stage, it's quite difficult for us to deal with that. Now, the issue of Dr. Ruth Mskhomutsi, then I'll leave it to the comrade from RSM.
All right, let me respond to the issue of the donation of the kettles.
And you don't want to touch on the 2 million allegation. I don't know why, but it's anyway.
All right. Are you responding?
Yeah, the 2 million, yes, that's what we are told in their meetings. You must remember this information is leaking. We do have this information. There's the 2 million set aside to fund this phase of phase 2 of this program that we are saying. For now, it suffices to put on record that yes, there is such an information received from the people who are attending these meetings.
I want to put you on record in relation to your question that during the 2016 local government election, we held a rally at Letlhabile Stadium, Madibeng sub-region, Bojanala region, which was addressed by the former president, Comrade Jacob Zuma. And while we were there, business people from Madibeng, who also serves in the VTSD Chamber of Commerce, voluntarily donated cattle to former President Jacob Zuma. The Department of Health has refuted claims that it had part, and there was no instruction from the provincial government or the Premier to say this particular matter must be dealt with. Another businessman from Agri-Delight, seeing that on TV, also volunteered to donate other cattle, which he then made arrangement on his own to be delivered to the President Jacob Zuma's homestead in Nkandla. Therefore, as the African National Congress, we are saying all things that happened in relation to the cattle were not part of the ANC program, but we are saying, because now it's as if the ANC's name is being used to tarnish it, and the deployees of the ANC, who is the MEC of Reed and the Premier, and therefore we are saying if we must meet with that particular director of Agri-Delight based on the media reports that appeared on Sunday Times, so that we must discuss this matter and put it to rest.
No, thanks. The issue of Dr. Ruth Mskhomutsi, I think it has been made very clearly that the branches are the basic unit. So it cannot be proper that we are talking about the RTT structure that has been in existence. The RTT has since been dissolved in that particular alleged collapsed regional conference. In fact, that particular conference never collapsed. We have done or dealt with internal organizational matters in order to go for a rerun. It cannot be correct that we are protecting certain individual leaders Hence, we are pushing very hard for regional conferences to sit. We have been ready, more than ready, even before NASREC. For 2 consecutive years, our regional conferences has been postponed by the previous NEC that was elected by then. Even now, we went for a rerun on the 21st, which is this previous Saturday. We were requested again not to go for a conference until we are being advised otherwise. There is no such protection of collapsed previous conference, including the issues that have been alluded to in this particular regard of protecting certain individuals not to go. On the issue of oblivious fact on the 2 lives that have been lost, I think my fellow comrades have alluded or responded to that particular fact, that we are condemning the acts of violence and the manner in which they have been happening. It is not within the best interest of the African National Congress that during this particular acts, lives are being lost. Secondly, that we are aware that we are looking at a picture that residents in this regard are involved, not the issue of alleged regime change, but in true sense, some innocent residents or community members were just requested to join, like for instance in Tau. They even confirmed to some of us that they did not understand what is happening. They were just called, hence some of them, after they have been advised on what is happening, they refused to take part in such particular acts of ill discipline within communities. The issue of operation centers, it has been addressed. Yes, there are 2 within Mafikeng, the other one Muntiwa, the other one Rivera Park. The issue of 2 million, like it has been alluded to, it is there. This particular program is massively funded. Hence, we talked about a revolution, and there is nobody who will be involved in this kind of a revolution. It is a revolutionary war. There are 2 people who are fighting for power, and it should be well noted. We can't dispute that particular fact. And the issue that we have said, it is history in this particular province, that every time after national conferences, people being called conglomeration of disgruntled people who seemed to have been supporting a certain faction or a certain slate, they will come to this particular province and demand regime change in terms of mayors, in terms of MMCs, in terms of MECs, in terms of premiers. It is a given fact, and it should be noted as such. We are talking about regime change. We understand what is it that we are talking about. We are understanding the role that is being played by our alliance partners. In terms of the South African Communist Party, in terms of COSATU, they are deeply involved in this particular regard. And poor trade unions, some of them, they are being used to fight political battles instead of advancing the interest of the workers and the working class where they are employed. That's their best interest in terms of dealing with these particular matters, not to meddle in political issues that they don't even understand. As I pause.
Let's bring us to the end of our press conference. Thank you very much, and thanks for responding to our invitation. Hope to see you soon. Because you are camping in the province anyway.
Can I have a copy of your name?